Let's step back to the very first horror films, silent, spooky, and full of magic. Discover how early filmmakers like Georges Méliès created timeless scares that still inspire Hollywood today. Ready for some classic chills? Let's go. The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari is one of the most famous silent films ever made, and a landmark in horror cinema. Part of the German expressionist movement like The Student of Prague, it's celebrated for its striking visuals, warped shadows, twisted shapes, and surreal nightmarish sets that create an eerie atmosphere unlike anything seen before. Film critic Roger Ebert even called it the first true horror film. The story follows a man who visits a local fair and encounters the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, which houses a mysterious somnambulist named Cesare, who has been asleep for 23 years. When a murder and an abduction shakes the town, suspicion falls on Dr. Caligari and his sleepwalker. More than just a horror film, Dr. Caligari is a deep dive into psychology and perception. Its influence reaches far beyond its era, shaping film noir, horror, and sci-fi genres for decades. And its eerie style still resonates with filmmakers today. The Avenging Conscience. The Avenging Conscience, also known as Thou Shalt Not Kill, draws inspiration from Edgar Allan Poe's chilling stories Annabel Lee and The Telltale Heart. The film follows a young man who falls in love, but his uncle forbids the relationship. Consumed by dark thoughts, the man murders his uncle and hides the body behind a wall. Haunted by his uncle's ghost, he descends into madness, plagued by terrifying hallucinations. Directed by D.W. Griffith, a controversial figure known for his groundbreaking techniques, this film came before his infamous 1915 The Birth of a Nation. Despite its problematic legacy, Griffith's skill in storytelling and camera work shine through in The Avenging Conscience. The Student of Prague. The Student of Prague is a landmark 1930 German horror movie and is often called the very first independent film. Its story blends inspiration from Edgar Allan Poe's William Wilson, Oscar Wilde's The Picture of Dorian Gray, Alfred de Musset's The December Night, and the famous German legend of Faust. The plot follows a young man named Baldwin who falls for a countess but holds back because he's poor. One day, a mysterious sorcerer named Scapinelli offers Baldwin 100,000 gold coins in exchange for something in his room. Desperate for money, Baldwin agrees, only to watch in horror as Scapinelli claims his reflection from the mirror. This film had a major influence on the German expressionist movement and was praised for its innovative camera work, especially the techniques used to show the doppelganger. It also sparked renewed interest in psychoanalysis, especially Freud's idea of the uncanny. Though The Student of Prague was remade several times in 1926, 1935, and 2004, none of these versions carry the cultural weight of the original 1913 classic. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Between 1900 and 1920, the twisted story of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde captivated filmmakers, resulting in over 10 different film versions, plus several parodies. The very first, made in 1908, is considered America's first horror film, though sadly it's now lost. The oldest surviving versions are from 1912 by Lucius Henderson and 1913 by Herbert Brennan. Brennan's film was distributed by the Universal Film Manufacturing Company, which later became Universal Studios, the legendary studio behind iconic monster movies like Frankenstein and Dracula in the 1930s. The most famous silent adaptation is the 1920 version starring John Barrymore. Barrymore wowed audiences with his incredible transformation from the mild Dr. Jekyll to the sinister Mr. Hyde, all without makeup. He simply twisted his facial expressions to switch between the two characters, a true acting feat. L'Inferno. L'Inferno was a groundbreaking silent film from Italy, the country's very first full-length feature. Released in 1911, it marked a huge step forward as movies began to grow longer and tell more complex stories. Running 68 minutes, this adaptation of Dante's Inferno was a major hit, earning $2 million in the US alone, a massive sum for the time. The film is famous for its stunning sets and costumes, which look like they were lifted straight from Renaissance paintings. In 2004, L'Inferno was restored and re-released on DVD, featuring a fresh musical score by the legendary electronic band Tangerine Dream. Frankenstein. In the early 1900s, filmmakers began adapting famous books into movies, and one of the earliest horror films was Frankenstein, made by Thomas Edison and J. Searle Dawley in 1910. This silent film faced backlash from religious groups and critics worried about the film industry's morals. To calm audiences, Edison cut any shocking scenes and added a disclaimer at the start explaining that the movie was only loosely based on Mary Shelley's novel. For decades, this Frankenstein was thought lost until the 1980s, when a Wisconsin collector named Alois Felix Dettelaff revealed he had a copy. In 1993, he even screened it at the Milwaukee Avalon Theater. Today, this silent classic is available online for all to see. The Infernal Cauldron. In 1903, Georges Méliès returned to his favorite spooky themes with the Infernal Cauldron, Le Chaudron Infernal. This short silent film features a green demon who throws 3 unlucky people into a bubbling cauldron. Every time someone falls in, a massive streak of fire erupts, but the story doesn't end there. Soon, those 3 emerge as ghosts, then turn into glowing balls of fire that chase the demon around until he jumps into the cauldron himself. Méliès was famous for hand-coloring each frame of his films to add vivid effects like these flames. This meticulous job was done by teams of women colorists, one of the first film industry jobs open to women at the time. Around this period, Méliès also faced early film piracy, with American pioneer Sigmund Lubin illegally copying and selling his movies. To fight back, Méliès invented a special 2-lens camera that created 2 negatives, one for local audiences and one for international release. Modern researchers discovered this clever invention also makes his film easily adaptable to 3D. The Haunted Curiosity Shop. Back in 1901, British director W.R. Booth created The Haunted Curiosity Shop, a fascinating silent film filmed with spooky and magical moments. The story follows an old curio dealer whose shop suddenly comes alive. The objects start moving on their own. Throughout the film, the dealer faces a floating head, a skeleton, a ghost, and even a disembodied woman who magically reconnects her separated body parts. Though it's packed with classic horror elements, the film wasn't really meant to scare viewers but to entertain with its clever tricks. Before making movies, Booth was a professional magician, and he used the Haunted Curiosity Shop as a chance to showcase his best magical effects on screen. A few years later, in 1906, he opened his own studio in a garden and went on to produce Britain's first animated film, The Hand of the Artist. Bluebeard. In 1901, Georges Méliès took his horror storytelling even further with Bluebeard, which is considered one of the earliest films about a serial killer. The movie is based on the famous French fairy tale by Charles Perrault, the same author who gave us Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, and Little Red Riding Hood. Running about 9 minutes, the film tells the chilling story of a creepy old man who's searching for a new wife. His previous 7 wives have all mysteriously vanished without a trace. Eventually, a father agrees to let his daughter marry the strange man, and she moves into his large, eerie castle. Before moving in, she's warned that there was one room she must never enter. Of course, curiosity gets the better of her. When she sneaks into the forbidden room, she fumbles in the dark, pulls back the curtains to let the light in, and what she sees is horrifying. 7 dead bodies hanging from hooks, dripping with blood. Bluebeard showcases Méliès' impressive technical skill and storytelling ability, proving that even in the earliest days of cinema, filmmakers could create suspense and drama that really worked on screen. Le Manoir du Diable. Georges Méliès is famous for his 1902 film A Trip to the Moon and for pioneering early film techniques and special effects. But in 1896, he created Le Manoir du Diable, the House of the Devil. Also known as The Haunted Castle in the US. This 3-minute silent film shows a bat flying around a spooky castle before turning into the demon Mephistopheles. He conjures a beautiful woman from a cauldron, but 2 knights arrive and interrupt. The demon tries to scare them with ghosts, skeletons, and witches, but is driven away by a crucifix. Le Manoir du Diable is considered the first horror film, and possibly the first to feature a vampire. Thought lost for years, it was rediscovered in 1988 in a New Zealand junk shop. Méliès also made other early horror-themed silent films like Une Nuit Terrible and The Astronomer's Dream. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this dive into classic horror, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for more legendary film stories.